Hey guys, welcome back to Fab Fun. My name's Logan and today we're going to be working on the big dog, Alpha MPX 60. We're going to be changing the oil and oil filter on it. Stay tuned. In the manual, it does say to change the engine oil and filter after the first 5 hours of operation, and then per the engine manufacturer's recommendations after that. Now the salesman said the first 10 hours you need to change the oil. I don't think it matters that much. I'm at just a little over 11 hours right now, I think, so I'm definitely going to change it. I think that's the break-in oil. We're going to change the oil and the oil filter. And I believe this hose came with the manual because the drain for the oil way down here has a little valve or an elbow that goes down in there, and I think you connect that hose and let the oil drain down into whatever container you have catching it. And that keeps from getting a mess all over the place. I don't think it's the most convenient place to put it, but that's what we have to work with, so that's what we're going to do. That's a pretty good design with everything being accessible right under the seat, but changing the oil is horrible. You've got this hose you've got to attach. It hangs down, it pretty much kinks itself just to get through that hole, and then hangs down underneath, right on top of this little skid plate. That's its natural position, so it's going to make a mess as soon as I open it up. I mean, I don't expect everything to be perfect on a design, but come on, engineers. You went to college. Do stuff where you can actually perform maintenance with ease. Gripe number one. First major gripe about the big dog Alpha MPX with the Kawasaki FR730V. Now the manual says it will require a 10mm socket or wrench on that little valve to let the oil out. So, there we go. Should be able to turn that fairly easily. It says about 4 turns. You can only make about a half of a turn. So it's letting you know, hey, don't go crazy. But don't complain if it doesn't drain after 1 turn. Losing any oil under here yet? And we are. So it said let that drain for about 10 minutes. I'm sure it would go faster if it weren't for that pinch right there, the little kink in the hose, just to get it to point down. But once that's done, we'll take the filter loose, put a new filter on. We'll tighten everything up and then fill it back up with oil. It does call for Kawasaki 10W40 4-cycle engine oil. And when you change the filter, which this one is a 49065-0721, When you change the filter, it says it takes 2.1 quarts. I will probably just top it off with a little bit of 5W30 or 10W30 that I have on the shelf. Most of it's going to be the Kawasaki oil. Well, I've been waiting a while. I think it's been
84 years.
And it's still draining. All right, we've put the 2 quarts in. It calls for 2 quarts with an oil filter change. And then let it run for 5 minutes. Shut it off, check the oil level, and top it off. I said it should take about 2.1 quarts by the time you're done. And I believe the oil change interval moving forward is supposed to be 100 hours for the oil change and every 200 hours for the oil filter change. But I will check just to make sure. We are good there, but we probably do have some air trapped in that oil filter. I will clean off a little bit there. I did have some oil run down on everything. We'll get that all cleaned up. It does have a good sound to it. Okay, we ran for a little while. Now we're going to check. And it still says full. So we'll probably do our next cut, and if it's still full, we'll be fine. If it needs a little bit more oil after the first cut, moving forward, we will add a little bit of oil to top it off. All right, we've got everything changed. The oil filter's back in place. Oil is back in it. We've cleaned up a lot, even though there's still a little bit of oil that's coming out from under the engine there. We cleaned up any oil that spilled down here, except for what's on the floor, which I'm not worried about. But for anybody that's doing this for the first time, working on a Big Dog Alpha MPX 24 horse Kawasaki, this is going to catch a lot of your oil, most likely, because the little rubber hose that they give you to stick on the little drain elbow, it doesn't point towards the floor. Once you get it down in that hole, which is hard to do, and it does kink the hose up, it's kind of dumping out on that black flat brace and then runs in different directions down onto whatever pan you've got underneath, which I had to pull mine up because I've got a bigger pan. Had to pull it up on some 2x12s just to get a little bit higher off the ground. But it does make a mess. It is not convenient. It is not really easy to get to. I did use a white paint marker to put the date and the hours on the oil filter so I know when I changed it. And the last thing that I want to do is check the service interval. Tell you what, I'll find that and turn your camera back on. All right, we found it. This is the Big Dog Mower instruction manual. This is the Kawasaki engine owner's manual. Change oil every 100 hours. change the oil filter every 200 hours of operation. Well, that makes that pretty simple. Guys, if you haven't done it before, it is not fun, but it's not crazy hard. If you feel like you can change oil and an oil filter, just 2 quarts, great, but understand you're probably going to make a mess. There's not really any way around it unless you have some other way of putting a pan under it that's going to catch everything that runs in lots of different directions. So, guys, thanks for watching. We do appreciate all the views. Give us a thumbs up if you like the content so far. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll catch you next time. Have fun.